Welcome to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, Happy New Year. Are you still in Dubai? Because it looks like you're in the airport in the photo booth lounge at the moment with the curtains behind you.
Well, to be honest with you guys, I don't want to pull this curtain because I don't want to embarrass you guys. I don't want to make you feel jealous. I don't want to show the sunshine. So I thought I'd done it for you. If you want me to, I can pull you back there and see all the topless ladies, all the guys walking around. No, there's no topless ladies in Dubai. But you could go outside. I could show you the beautiful view. But I thought just because you had a winning bet last week on Haaland, don't come on here straight away and get all cocky. Now, I could pull that there, but I thought I'm just going to let you. I know it's -3 degrees in London, and I just thought I'll just leave you two there, and I won't show you. But you know what? Next time I won't be so kind.
Jack, Happy New Year to you. Honours even.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, honours even in the right city derby, Norwich QPR.
It was, yeah. We snuck a very late equaliser there, so a fair result on the day, I would say.
Look, brilliant picks across the last weekend, both to you. And one you plays winning. I mean, Nigel, is it just easier at the moment? Are the winners coming to you easier for any particular reason? Is it the Dubai sun?
This is the first show I've been on. This is the all-inclusive Lowenbrow could be going to my head. I've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen. No, I think to be honest with you, from my perspective, is I think I've been very, very lucky, and obviously, over a period of time, the variance of betting comes and goes, your fortunes, and we're having a good run at the moment. We had a bit of a bad run at the moment at the start of the year, and I think it all levels itself out over a period of time. So, no, I don't think there's any massive strategy. I think we've done the right things throughout the year. Some things have gone for us, some things haven't gone for us. I mean, there's been a lot of bad luck along the way. The leans, as I said, Joe's still working. He hasn't got a big enough calculator to work out all the rubbish we'll be getting on the leans. So I think it's a little bit of a mixture of loads of things. But at the moment, we're running hot. We're running good. Not only on this show, on the whole channel. I mean, the European boys have been hot all season. Sean Calvert's come back from the break, and I know he didn't like Christmas. I know he didn't like New Year. I know he didn't like. He had his son's birthday.
Shocked by that.
But he's gone straight in with 2 bets and 2 winners straight away. So the whole channel's doing really well at the moment. So it's just a long way to continue.
Indeed. Just a reminder of the boys' profit and loss for the season is on screen. We are inching towards profit. Really good picks from Nigel and Jack last week, as they have been over the course of December. Let's hope that we can kick on in January. Speaking of inching, we are inching towards 7,000 subscribers on YouTube as well. Brilliant response from the Betting Weekly community. Really good response on the YouTube comments. As always, keep the comments coming in. We're on hand over the course of the weekend to take a look at your plays, and you can maybe tailor us if you want to. Completely up to you, of course. Tag us in, of course, at Because We Win if you're on Twitter. We're going to kick off our coverage this week with the early game on Saturday, 7:30 stateside, Eastern. Spurs against Newcastle. Spurs are plus 190 here. Newcastle are plus 128. Newcastle first-time favourites away at Spurs for over 25 years. I make it probably got to go back to the Keegan era. I would have thought. Jack, you've got your 2-unit play here. Now, Newcastle are top of the 4-match form table, along with Forest. Spurs are still injury hit, but I mentioned that they're favourites away at Spurs here. Not quite as big as price as they were at United. Are they still value? Is your 2-unit play Newcastle, or have Tottenham got to such a price that you think, no, I've got to weigh in with Angie's boys?
No, I'm going with Newcastle. I think this goes into the if it ain't broke, don't fix it category. Yeah, it is a little bit of a longer price than the bet we had on against United last time out. But I still think there's a little bit in it. I just feel that this is a good spot for them to be going to Spurs and taking on this side. You look at the table, you'd say that there's kind of 2 sides that leap out as far as underperformers are concerned. Manchester United are the poster campaign for that this season. Spurs aren't far behind them at the moment, but I do think they have got the, you've already mentioned it, the kind of excuses of injuries. That was worsened last time out. Destiny Udogie, their left back, was injured in the second half. He went off. Looks like he's out for a while as well. So they really are patched up. Dragusin, their centre-back, was literally patched up and pushed out to make the numbers up last time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another breakdown or 2, because they are just basically having to use the same players and is struggling. So I don't think this is as easy as that Man United game. Look, Newcastle did everything we expect them to. We cashed 3-unit play across the channel, across the show for that game. They should have been 4 up after 30 minutes, shouldn't they, and put it to bed. But it was a pretty typical Eddie Howe performance on the road. Get a couple of goals up, manage the game out. They didn't really have lots to worry about from the minute they were 2 goals up. So a similar performance here, possibly. We know that Spurs can carry threat going forward. But I say those injuries really are impacting them. You look at their home record at the minute where they're normally quite strong. No winning 5, lost 3 of those as well. Yes, they lost to Chelsea and Liverpool. You'd probably go, that's not too bad. But they lost to Ipswich in that as well. The draws were against Fulham and Wolves. So not good. And say Newcastle in the best form of the season. And they've got threats across the whole pitch. They've got players that are performing at the best they have done all season. Lewis Hall was phenomenal the other night at left back. The 2 wide players, Gordon and Murphy, fantastic. That midfield area, that dynamism in that midfield area is crucial. And of course, they've got that priceless commodity. We've mentioned him all season. Alexander Isak, the goal scorer. Scored again, got the opening goal against Man United, and 12 for the season now. He's got 43 in 69 league games for Newcastle. Phenomenal return. 3 in his last 4 head-to-heads as well, so he's got a good record against Spurs. And they're up to 5th, only 3 points off 4th now, closing in on Chelsea, who are wobbling. And they have got a great recent record against Spurs as well. They won 4 of the last 5 Premier League meetings, 15-7 the aggregate score over that period of time, including that 2-1 in the reverse. So I am going with Newcastle to get the job done again here.
2-unit play for Jack. Nigel, are you deviating from Newcastle? Is there a different angle in, or are you weighing in with Eddie Howe's side?
Well, I'd be betting Newcastle for exactly the same reasons that Jack said there. I mean, Ange survived Christmas, didn't she? Didn't he? Unlike Ange in the Queen Vic many years ago with Dirty Thing got around Christmas Day. He survived this one. I think this has got goals. Obviously, it's not an obvious play, but the goals is the way you've got to. I think you look at these 2 sides, you think they've got goals in abundance. 37 goals in the last 8 fixtures between these 2 sides. They're probably at the most attacking threat that 2 of them offer is insane. And defensively, we know Tottenham are all over the place. I thought I unearthed a fantastic wager, and I thought, all going to be sitting there going, I like the way Nigel's thinking there, the way he come here. So I looked at it, and I thought, well, Newcastle won their last 5. They scored at least 2 goals in every single match, and Tottenham has conceded at least 2 goals in 5 of their last 7 matches. So I thought I might find a little angle here, and I thought what I might have done is I might find like a little bet that might be a little bit of value. Newcastle to score more than 1.5 goals. What price do you reckon Newcastle are to score more than 1.5 goals, Dan? Jack's probably done all the research, but what do you reckon, Dan?
I don't know, 2 to 1 or something, plus 200.
Minus 180. Minus 180. I honestly thought that I might find the bet here that we could find plus 110 or something like that. Tottenham to concede 2 goals. So Newcastle to score 2 or more goals is minus 180 in this match. And that just shows you the state of Tottenham and the state that in the goals market. So if you're saying that Newcastle are minus 180 to score 2 goals, you would predict that Tottenham are going to contribute to those goals. So I think the Dubai Sunshine's gone to my head. I think the free drink has gone to my head. Over 3.5 goals, minus 122. That's my bet.
New year, new you.
It's incredible, isn't it? Spurs have fallen apart at the back, and the goal line is high, but you've still got to go with it, haven't you? Really. So Nigel's going for a big overs play. Jack's 2-unit pick is Newcastle to win on the money line. Let's get to Bournemouth against Everton next, 10 a.m. on Saturday. We've got Nigel's 1-unit play here. Interesting one, this, because Bournemouth are minus 136. They are the favourites. Everton plus 375. Forest sat back against Everton and won. Everton had 64% of the possession in that match, the most that they've had this season, but it's not how they play. It's not how they grind out results. We've seen them do that against Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester City. Can they do it against Bournemouth, Nigel? What's the unit play?
I'm going to go with Bournemouth. What I've decided to do this week, and I'm just started to try to chip away on the profit. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to play a couple of sort of minus money shots as the 2-unit play and the 1-unit play, and then go for hopefully we hit a hot dog and get a nice bit of profit on the hot dog. So I'm just trying to get that sort of. I don't want to be too. Jack's got a little bit to play for. It's why I've gone for the Newcastle pick, and obviously made a great case here. But I want to go a little bit careful on my units and try to just guarantee profit. I'm going to go with Bournemouth here at minus 136. They were a little bit bigger than that when I looked last night when I sent you the bets over. But the reason for this, well, first of all, I can't call Bournemouth right this season. So take that as much. Every time I go with them, they let me down, and every time I oppose them, they win.
You're back on the Bournemouth train. You've got back on at Christchurch. You're going back the other way.
I've gone back, yeah. So I mean, they've only lost twice at home this season against decent opposition in Brighton and Chelsea. I just think it's Everton. I think Everton to keep playing the way they do really does take up a lot of energy. To keep defending, to keep set pieces, to be organised, it takes up a lot of period, a lot of stress. And I just saw signs in that defeat against Nottingham Forest that they were a little bit leggy. I mean, Brentford is a big miss for them. I don't know if he'll be back on the game because I've tried to get on a lot of websites over here and not those kind of websites, James, but I'm trying to get on a few websites over here. And I'm not really allowed to get on them. So I don't really know what's going on really in terms of team news here. But Brentford didn't play, I don't think, in the last match. And I think he's a huge player for Everton. At the start of the season, they missed him and he was pivotal for their downfall. When he came back, they had a resurgence. But I just got a feeling here that Bournemouth may win this. I think it's two different styles of play. I think that Everton will be, obviously, we know exactly what we're going to get from Everton. But I think Bournemouth have the quality and the edge in every single department. And I think they will win this. They played a crazy match early in the season. I remember watching that in a bar in New York, in Hoboken. And surprise. And it was we were in there watching that game. And it was a mad match where Everton were in the lead. They had that terrible start to the season. Bournemouth come back and scored 2 late goals and won it. But I do think Bournemouth are a better side here. I do think that Everton may have played a lot of games. They've defended for their lives. They're not conceding goals. They're not scoring any goals. They're negative. If you go into a match thinking, I'm going to get 0-0, I'm going to get 0-0, I'm going to get 0-0, it doesn't matter what level of football you play. Eventually, that kind of mentality is going to take. You're going to get leg weary and you're going to defend for your lives. And I just got a feeling that Bournemouth could run right here against this Everton side, who didn't look great against Nottingham Forest. So I'm going to go for Bournemouth. Only a 1U play. Not probably the price that some people might want to get. And if you don't want to play the minus 136, put them in your Premier League parlay with Bet Rivers. So I'm going to go Bournemouth minus 136 on the money line as my 1U pick against a leg-weary Everton who have got some injuries as well.
Jack, how do you see this one? What's your lean?
Yeah, under 2.5 goals for me, minus 105. Initially, as always with Everton, drawn towards both teams to score no mark hit. Virtually the same price, pretty much identical. So gone under 2.5 does give you the 1-1 onside, should it be that. But and you're taking a risk it's not going to be a 3-0 or 4-0 kind of affair. I just feel this side, Bournemouth, miss so many chances, and against an Everton side that are going to let them have the ball and see what they've got. So I think we know what we're going to get with Everton. I think the little bit of a surprise is just how often Bournemouth games do go under, especially at home. Only Ipswich have had more under 2.5 goals games at home this season in the Premier League. Obviously, that mad reverse fixture would be a bit of a warning, but you would expect once bitten, twice shy for Everton. They wouldn't quite do that again. Another, say, under game here for, and say Everton, exactly what they got against Forest at the weekend. Now, the both teams scored no and under 2.5 goals. Only scored 31 goals in 2024. That's the lowest of any of the ever-present sides in the Premier League. And that's where their problem lies, isn't it? We've said it for probably 2 years now, the fact they just don't create or score enough goals. And to say that you can reel off all the stats, failed to score in 4 of their last 5 road games, under 2.5 goals in 6 of their last 9 away, which is a joint high. 11 of 18 across all venues this season is, again, another joint high in the Premier League. All of the last 4, 10 of the last 12, and 6 of the last 7 away. So I don't know why I didn't make it an official play here, but it's very close, to be honest with you, for my 1 unit play. But no, a lean at minus 105, under 2.5 goals.
Yeah, Bournemouth just keep on missing chances, don't they? They create an awful lot of XG, but they don't score as many as they should do. Let's get to Villa against Leicester, which is another 10 a.m. game. Villa are minus 315 here, Nigel. We've just got a couple of leans from the boys here. Leicester are plus 850. Villa 10 points worse off than last season. And you mentioned sort of Everton looking a bit leggy. I thought Villa looked a little bit leggy. That Champions League schedule is catching up with them a little bit. But then you look at Leicester and they've lost their last 4, which is something that even under Steve Cooper they didn't do. I mean, Leicester are big. Villa too short. I don't know. What's your lean in this one?
I think it's a very difficult one to have an opinion on it. I haven't gone for a bet on the money line or on the Asian handicap for those reasons that you just said there, Dan. Villa have suddenly got a good home run though going. They were unbeaten in 7 matches, and at the start of the season we were saying that they weren't so good at home, and they were sort of that home run they had in last season got them into the Champions League. So they're now looking good at Villa Park. It's on the road that they look a bit worried. I've gone for a prop here that, we cashed on it last week on the lean, and it was Ollie Watkins to score at any time. And I think this is a game that promises to see goals. Leicester, as you said, haven't won in there, lost their last 4 and conceded 12 goals. So you've got to expect Aston Villa, the home crowd behind them. They've got to get points on the bag before the Champions League starts up again, because they are going to be involved in the latter stage of the Champions League. That looks certain. So they've got to get points on the board. It's a localish derby. You would think that Villa were going to come out and they're going to be pumped up. The Leicester side that we know they concede so many chances. They've got some injury problems as well, Leicester, for this match as well. From an attacking point of view, they're not, from the metrics, they're the worst team in the Premier League. Aston Villa, I think, have got players that have got something to prove, in particular Ollie Watkins. We mentioned it last week. He cashed for us last week, and I think we're going to stay on the Watkins train here. Without Duran, who's still suspended, I'm going to go for Ollie Watkins here at -110. I think when you weigh it all up, Villa are -335 on the money line. They're 1.75 Asian favourites. So the bookies at Bet Rivers are saying that if you're going to cash that, they've got to win by 3 goals. So if you're looking at minus money or plus even money on them on the Asian handicap, their main talisman and their striker to score at any time is -110. So I didn't want to really play on the money line. I thought it was a dangerous proposition. I don't trust Leicester. I'm not trusting Villa at -335 or -315. But I think I do trust Ollie Watkins with something to prove. And at -110, I think that's the best bet on the match.
Yeah, 6 of his 8 Premier League goals have come at home as well, which could be a factor for Ollie. Jack, you like goals in this one? What's your lean?
I do, yeah. I've gone with both teams to score, yes, and over 2.5 goals. Same game parlay in essence, but that's at -112. I think it screams goals. For the Ollie Watkins bet, Morgan Rogers is suspended for this one as well. So their 2 main goal threats outside of Watkins leaves the door wide open for him to, plunder the goals in here. But at the other end, 2 clean sheets in 24 Premier League games for Villa. That sums up their problems there, which is a bit of a surprising stat, but one Leicester can take advantage of. I think Villa will win this one, to be fair, but I do think they might well concede in the process. This one's got the makings of I've got a 3-1, 4-2 kind of bit of a mad game in my head, to be fair. We know, say, Leicester's problems. We know how they're going to play under Ruud van Nistelrooy. It's not the Steve Cooper, as you said, that will dig out a 0-0 or scrape a draw somewhere or a fluke a win. They're all out to try and win, and impressively. They conceded 2 or more goals in those 4 defeats they've now had on the spin in each of those games. Failed to score in 2 of 9 road games, though, so they have carried a threat even under Steve Cooper. This bet's cashed in 6 of those 9 road trips as well. They went to Liverpool, they went to Arsenal, they scored in both those fixtures, but got beat. I expected very similar outcome in this one. So over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, yes, at -112.
Just a bit of a lean from Jack on that one. Man City, West Ham, another 10 a.m. Saturday game. City are -360 here, West Ham are +800. Nigel, City beat Leicester last time out, but I wasn't really impressed with them. I'm impressed with Haaland, obviously, but aside from that, I mean, they had less possession than Leicester, which was incredible. First time this season in all competitions. They haven't had as much as the ball as the opposition. I mean, something at City, Nigel, is still not right. I won't back him at -360. I mean, no bone for West Ham is a factor for West Ham. He started every single game this season in all competitions for West Ham. Are we still looking to fade City, do you think, and you're not looking any much into that Leicester win?
Well, I'm hoping that Man City beat West Ham 4 or 5-0 here, because then it gives me everyone will think they're back, and the market might still adjust to them, change them to thinking that they were the team they were before this crisis that they're having, because they're not. They're not the side. I think they'll win this match. And my days of fading them on as a heavy minus money favourite like I did last week are gone. I'm not going to fade them.
I thought that was unlucky last week. Leicester could have easily.
Yeah, but I just this is West Ham who were awful, absolutely awful with Liverpool. I know Liverpool were great, but 5-0, they down tools, they're all over the place, and they're without clearly their best player by a million miles. They're also without Antonio as well. Obviously, that car accident he had, he's going to ruled out. We don't know when he's going to if he'll ever play again. We don't know about that. So take those 2 players out of this West Ham side. They're a real and they're a flaky team at best. They're a kind of side that could go here and go 3-0 down after 20 minutes and then just be all over the place. But I'm hoping for that. What I want is Man City to beat West Ham 7-0, and then everyone goes, Man City, you're back. and we can just get next week and the week after and the week after that, we can fade them when they're up against better proposition. But this is not an opponent that I would trust at all. I can't trust West Ham here. I couldn't trust Man City at minus 360. But I do think that Man City will win. And I do think they'll probably win by a decent margin, i.e. more than 2 goals. Because I just think their opposition here is so poor. So I looked at somewhere where I can get within the Asian handicap. I didn't want to get with the Asian handicap. And I just went for Man City to be winning at half time as a lean at minus 148. Again, it's a low price. But I do think that West Ham will be a perfect opponent for Man City, really. Despite the way that they're playing at the moment, I think they match up perfectly. They'll try to play a bit of football. They won't have the cutting edge up front, and I think Man City will carve them open and probably win by 3 or more. But I want that. I really want that, because next week when they have a better opposition, or in the Champions League when they have the real tough opponents, the market may. If they keep losing and keep losing and keep losing, we're not going to get the prices where we can really make money on Man City. And I like them in the matchups where they're sort of priced up around about minus 170 or minus 160 when they should be even money. That's what I want to oppose them. But I think they will win Man City here, and we'll go for Man City to win 2-0. But long term, we may want Man City to do a number on West Ham.
Yeah, it's the quality of opposition we're talking about here, isn't it? Leicester, then West Ham aren't great. Jack, you think City are going to score a few as well?
Yeah, exactly the same. I think this is a great opponent for Man City. If ever they want to get any confidence back, going back-to-back games against Leicester and West Ham is pretty much as good as it gets at this moment in time. And I agree. I think West Ham are a side that collapse once they get in a position where it looks like they're going to get beat. They just fold. I've gone for over 2.5 City goals here at minus 122 for similar reasons. They won the reverse 3-1 on match day 3, which seems a long, long time ago now, back when City started the season pretty well. They've scored exactly 3 goals in the last 4 meetings between these two sides as well. And they did score 3 here only 3 games ago when they beat Nottingham Forest 3-0, which was probably their most impressive result in recent time, to be fair. West Ham considered 3+ on the road several times at Leicester, at Forest, at Spurs, and at Liverpool in all competitions. And they shipped 5, as Nigel mentioned, last time out against Liverpool, which is real ringing alarm bells. And as I say, without that Bowen threat on the counter, I think they could be in for a long afternoon here. So yeah, Man City team total over 2.5, minus 122.
Yeah, just on Nigel's Man City to be leading at half time, which is pretty short. They would be just 1 point off the top of the table if we only included the first 45 minutes worth of football in fixtures this season. So they are fast starters, even though they've not had a great season, as we know. Let's get to a couple more Saturday 10 a.m. games. Let's rattle through these two. We've got Palace, Chelsea and Southampton, Brentford. Palace are plus 290. Chelsea are minus 114. They're without a win in 3. Chelsea, Jack, here, they've lost the last 2. I mean, they're almost even money here. I mean, not so long ago, probably bite your hand off for that. Palace only 2 home wins in the Premier League this season. What's your lean on this one?
I've gone with Palace on a plus handicap, plus half goal. So effectively a double chance here, slightly better than playing playing the double chance. Minus 108. It's not a really confident play, but Palace proved hard to beat over the recent weeks. They've only lost 2 of their last 11 in the Premier League. They do have a terrible record against Chelsea, it has to be said. They'd lost 14 on the spin until the reverse fixture, which they drew 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. So a little bit of confidence from that. And I think it's a little bit of a good moment to play Chelsea. I think Maresca's obviously came out and said they're not in a title race. They've gone and proved that over the last couple of games.
Yeah, they're definitely not now.
So he's got something right at least. And they have failed to score in the last 2 on the road. So a tentative lean for me here, probably my say flakiest one of the week. But Palace on a plus half goal, Asian handicap, minus 108.
Nigel, not tempted by Chelsea, shade minus money?
I'm betting Chelsea.
Here we go.
I'm up against Jack again on this one, but I'm going to go for Chelsea at minus 114. I think it just shows you the flakiness. The Premier League, 2 defeats or 3 without a win, and suddenly, I mean, every tipster was telling me they were going to win the league. They've got the best manager. They got the best player in the league. They got this. They got that. They got the best squad in the league. They've got a great manager. Now he's 3 matches away from being sacked. Now the club's in turmoil. It just shows you how much things can change very, very quickly here. I mean, if we had this conversation 3 weeks ago to preview this match, I think Chelsea. I've written it down here. I think Chelsea would be minus 225 to win this match. Have they really changed in 3? Have they really changed in 3 matches? It's a young squad in transition. I never thought they'd stay the pace at all, but they are going to drop points. But they've got a brilliant record, as Jack said. They've won the last 6 at Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park. They have dropped points against teams that you would expect them to win against, Ipswich, Fulham, and Everton. But I think they've got players on the pitch who are world class, and with world class players on the pitch, you've always got a chance. So -114, I just don't think that in a 10-day period, one team can go from a 50% probability from a 70% probability to win a football match, or 7% probability to win a full match to 50%. That's a 17% swing on the back of 2 matches. We've seen a lot here this season, and the 2 of them, Chelsea, are in a different league to Palace. So -114. I was going to put that as one of my official picks, actually, but I will be betting Chelsea to win this match.
Interesting. I mean, when City went there sort of similarly out of form, they were nudging at -$2. So it just goes you to show what Nigel's putting out there. The price is everything. Be interesting to see how the boys get on with that going head to head. Southampton, Brentford next. Again, 10 a.m. Saints, 2 games, 2 losses under Juric. Jack here. Bit more direct. Scroll down some stats. 85 long balls against Palace, 84 against West Ham under Russell Martin. Only more than 61s. So it's a big change of style here. But we haven't seen an upswing in results. Do you think they might get something against Brentford?
Possibly so. Final point on that Palace-Chelsea game. My head-to-head record against Nigel's similar to Chelsea's against Palace. Or Palace against Chelsea, I should say. So.
I didn't want to mention it. I didn't want to mention it.
I'd compare it more to Tottenham against Chelsea.
So we'll move swiftly on. That's an extra one for people who want to see which side they're going to sit on. More of that later, possibly. Anyway, spoiler alert. Southampton, Brentford. Do you know what? I'm going to actually have a little play on Southampton here. Tie no bet, +100. If they can't win this game, they probably aren't going to win another one all season, which is a possibility. But one of the key elements of this is how the scheduling's thrown it in. They played on Sunday. Brentford played on Wednesday. That's huge at this time of year. Brentford haven't got a big squad, so they're not going to be able to rotate loads of players. They do rely on those key men, and Bomo obviously got the goal yesterday against Arsenal. They do rely on those key men to go again, and I think that's tough. Away game, down on the south coast, so not easy for them at all. And also, Brentford, of course, have got the joint worst record in the Premier League away from home, and that is shared with Southampton. So only 2 points from 9 road trips. They've lost 4 of their last 5 in all competitions across all venues as well. 2 of those are at home, and we know how strong Brentford are at home. So have the wheels come off a little bit? And I think when you're winning every single home game, it takes the pressure off away. And I think now they're going, oh, hang on, we need to start picking up points again away from home. Can they flick the switch? Again, it's a good opportunity for them, but Southampton have got to see this as a real opportunity to finally get a win on the board. They have been harder to beat since Russell Martin's gone. They've not been getting blown away. They're not making those same mistakes. You've already said it. Those longer balls, more percentages being played. They've got a big focus point up front. They've got that 6'7" striker that they can play off. He's desperate for a goal. If he scores when he could go on a little bit of a run and help them out a lot, but they just need to take their chances. Brentford concede up plenty. They don't keep many clean sheets. It doesn't get easier or better for this than Southampton to try and get a win. So I've gone tie no bet. Obviously a refund push if we get a tie in the match. But +100 still, I think, is decent given all those things I now said.
Yeah, Brentford are the favourites here. Nigel, what's your lean on this one?
Exactly the same as Jack. I've gone for Southampton draw no bet here. I like what I see from the manager. The manager's changing up. You can't survive in the Premier League playing the style of football that Russell Martin has played. And I think they've probably left the change in manager too late. There's a big change in the way they play. I think they've been unlucky on the results with the manager. I think they were quite unlucky. They played good football, but they left themselves so open at the back against top quality opposition. The Premier League going to get punished. And Brentford are in a bit of a slump. No wins in 5. They've dropped all the way down to the table to the bottom half of the league. It's a very open Premier League this season where a lot of teams can push into Europe, and Brentford were hoping that they will be that side. Totally agree with Jack. The short turnaround over Christmas period, playing the extra rest is a massive advantage. Relying on the same players week in and week out to do it for you. We know how poor they are on the road. And I think if Southampton do not get, well, I think they've gone anyway, but if they don't get anything from this match, they're finished. And it may be a case of them realising they're finished, then they might sort of break unwanted records for points in the Premier League. I like Southampton here, draw no bet, even money. Exactly the same as Jack on that one, going for Southampton here. I think a great time to play Brentford.
Now the boys have got their betting boots on when it comes to the Brighton Arsenal game, because we've got 2 official plays here. It's a Saturday 12:45 game Eastern, 5:45 local. Brighton are +370. Arsenal are minus money favourites, -134. Now you can spin this any way you want. Arsenal won the last 4. Biggest price they've been home or away in the Premier League since early November when they were away at Chelsea. So there's a bit of a tempter there. Brighton without winning 7. But, Nigel, the spin here is that Saka's not playing. He's massive for Arsenal. Havertz was ill midweek. We don't know if he's going to be back. Timber's suspended. Now, your 2-unit play is coming. Are we going Brighton Asian line? Are we going Arsenal odds on? What's your 2-unit pick?
I'm going Arsenal. I think Arsenal win this match. I think when I sent you the pick last night or the early hours this morning, wherever I am, it was -120 Arsenal to beat Brighton. I know the money's come for it. It's now -134 with Bet Rivers. I'm liking that price. Saka is a big blow, but the form of Jesus outnumbers that a little bit. So, you've got one positive in the fact that Jesus is scoring goals and playing in, he can play in that position. If he needed to, if Havertz comes back, then Jesus can revert to that position. His form is probably, I'm not saying it's the same as Saka because we know how important he is for assists and goals and his contribution from corners and set pieces. But I do think it sort of outweighs that loss slightly that he's playing very well. Timber's a big blow, but they've got players coming back as well. They've got players who can play in that position. They've got a big enough squad to do that. And I just go back. I look back at the previous the match between this, and then you would have commentated on the match, Dan, and you would have been there. And I watched it from first hand. Arsenal were in complete and utter control of that match. Absolutely in complete and utter control of that match. They were 1-0 up, and then in the 49th minute, Declan Rice gets sent off, and the game changes completely on its head. And inevitably, 10 minutes later, Brighton equalise, and then they're hanging on a little bit at the end. But for the first half, Arsenal should have been 2 and 3 up and put the game to bed. They were absolutely good things. And since then, I would probably say that Arsenal's big performance has been all their points they've dropped have really been down to their ill discipline, where they've got players sent off, Trossard, Gabriel, Rice in that match. The other matches that they've dropped points have probably been because they've been out. I think Arteta's been out tactics by now. The manager, Dyche just stopped them, nullified anything they did, and they didn't have anything to change. But they're unbeaten. They're in a good unbeaten run. And the fact that they're playing catch-up, I've said so many times on this show, I think helps Arsenal. I would trust Arsenal to go on a winning run or an unbeaten run when they've got a target to chase. The minute they chase that target and they're at home to a Brentford or at home to an Aston Villa and the pressure's on them and the Arsenal fans believe they're going to win it, that's when I want to oppose Arsenal. So I like this spot for Arsenal. I know Arsenal fans are probably saying that we're not going to win the league. You probably won't. Liverpool will probably run away with it now. But having something to chase for and having the shackles off, I think, is the best position for Arsenal. And this Brighton side, I've said for weeks and weeks and weeks, I'm not convinced by them. I'm not convinced by them. They've had some bad performances at home this season. They've dropped points. They're the draw specialists, and they're on a bit of a decline. And we know they're the XG Kings. We know they're the data darlings. We know potentially that they're the side that can break through to the Champions League or in the next couple of seasons. But on this current Brighton side, given the form they are in, I think Arsenal at that -125, -120 was a ridiculous price. So I like Arsenal here. I've gone 2 U plays, just purely and simply from the position the two clubs find themselves in. And I just like this. I like this Arsenal side chasing down a target. I don't like them as front runners. So I'm going to go for Arsenal here at -1. Well, whatever it is now. I think it's -134. But I wouldn't take it any lower. I wouldn't. That's as low as I go. I'm not going any lower than 134. If it drifts back to -125 or -120, don't be a moron, put more on. But if it goes down to -140, -150, I don't think it will. But if it goes lower than -134, I'm not playing. But I do think Arsenal win this match.
Yeah, they were -200 for it last season and won the game. The point that you make about their squad is interesting. Mikel Arteta had a beaming smile after the game last night because he took a chance with his squad, with squad rotation. But as you mentioned there, the squad now looks big enough to cope with 1 or 2 big misses. I think we've seen that. They're unbeaten in won the last 4, unbeaten in 12. Jack, I know you're positively with Arsenal as well, but you've got a little bit of a twist on it because obviously for a hot dog you're not playing -134, and this is your big price play. So give us your thoughts on the game, give us your pick.
It is, and it's the same bet, but adding in both teams to score, yes, into the bet. I just didn't double check it, and it is still +205, so it's still available at the price. I put it forward last night, so we can go with it. exactly the same reasons, of course, for the reason I'm siding with Arsenal to win the game. No win in 7 for Brighton. Arsenal won 6 of their last 8, 3 of the last 4 away. The both teams to score element of it. Brighton just cash this relentlessly. 11 of their last 12 games in all competitions have seen both teams score. So that, yeah, simple as that. Simply, both teams to score. Yes, though, for Arsenal's landed in each of their last 5 on the road. So they are conceding goals. They've no clean sheet in 8 road trips. Their only one was in their opening away fixture. So it sits up perfectly to add in extra here and go from Nigel's price we're talking about to make this a hot dog. So that's why I've gone with it. They have coped with the absences. They have got that squad rotation they can bring in. Jesus' form suddenly couldn't come at a better time, as we've said, with Saka being out. Havertz, talk is that he should be back for this one, which will be a big boost for them. So, yeah, they've got the players there that can cope with it. And, for me, this looks like a really nice hot dog. Arsenal to win. Both teams score yes at plus 205. And a side note for anyone looking for any of the props, we've obviously highlighted how strong Arsenal are at set pieces across the season. They've been lethal. They were again against Brentford, albeit not directly for this fella. The young lad has come in for Saka out there, Ethan Nwaneri. I did ask you the pronunciation.
Yeah,
I think that's correct. Nwaneri, thank you.
I knew how to pronounce Ethan.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. So we'll refer to him as that going forward. But he was on corners yesterday, wasn't he? So if that continues, then he might be a nice spot for someone looking for one of the assist markets, say a big price. So there we go. That's it. But I like that as a hot dog.
Let's get to Sunday's games. Fulham versus Ipswich is the early game, 9 a.m. Fulham minus 195 here, Nigel. Ipswich plus 510. Ipswich covered the handicap on Arsenal, then beat Chelsea. I mean, Fulham have to be favourites for this game. They have to be. But 5 draws in their last 7. Including 3 recently at home here. I mean, this is set up for an Ipswich Asian play or not?
Definitely. You know what, right? I was looking at this match last night and I was very close to putting Ipswich on the money line as my hot dog.
Hot dog, yeah.
At 5 to 1. Bet Rivers are 5 to 1. It's the best price in the land. And I was very close to putting it in. If it was the last week of the season and I needed to overtake Jack, it would have been a double hot dog. but at this stage of the season, I thought I need a little bit close. But I do like Ipswich here at 5 to 1. I think it's a very, very big price. They were excellent against Chelsea. Excellent. I think they've got a good manager, a very good manager. I think I've said to you before, they're a club, someone who I know at the start of the season I took a bet off him. He wanted to bet them to stay in the Premier League. He asked me, and he's a clever judge. And, they're coming good. And I think a lot of shrewd bettors like what they see from Ipswich and don't think they'll go down. I even though I'm in a good position now for my bet that I've accepted, I'm still not comfortable because I think the Ipswich are decent. I think they're a good side, good manager. And the plus 1 is minus 110. Minus 110, Ipswich plus 1. So the only way you can lose is minus 2 goals. So I'll be definitely betting Ipswich. I'll have a bit of pizza money on the money line. I will be betting them on the Asian handicap. They didn't make my main 2 selections because I do like Arsenal quite strong here. But if you look at Fulham at home, I know they've been exceptional, but they've drew 0-0 against Southampton. They drew 2-2 against Bournemouth last week when they should have won. They got beat 4-1 by Wolves in recently. Ipswich are on exactly the same kind of level as Wolves, I would say. Slightly behind them. And obviously Southampton, newly promoted club. So you bet them in those 3 matches, you would have got beat. Ipswich on the back of their best win of the season, the best win in the Premier League, the best win for many, many years. The confidence must be sky high for them. And I thought 5 to 1 was massive. Minus 195 Fulham is a price that is the second lowest they've ever been in Premier League history behind that match against Southampton. And when they were lower than that, they didn't deliver. So I quite like Fulham when they play big sides and you can get a big price from at home or you can get a big price from on the road or on the Asian handicap. At heavy minus money favourites, it's uncharted territory for them. So here, I'm all over Ipswich. I think 5 to 1 is a very, very, very big price for Ipswich. I will be betting it, but for tiny bet. But I do think I'll have a serious bet on Ipswich plus 1 because I can't see Fulham winning by more than 2 goals. So, yeah, I want to get with Ipswich here for sure.
Ipswich we're siding with in the money line and the Asian markets. Jack, you've gone to the goals markets for your lean here.
Yeah, I can't side with Ipswich, can I? Jeez. Over 2.5 goals. So here's the goals for me. Yeah, over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. Plus 102, which again, quite an eye-catching price. Ipswich's confidence will be up after those performances that you mentioned there. And I just think Fulham get a little bit sloppy. Pretty much what Nigel said, they get a bit sloppy against the lesser opponents. They really focus. They go big against the top sides, and then let things slacken off a little bit. So I just think this could be a bit open and goals at both ends. This is cashed in 4 of the last 6 road trips for Ipswich. Only 1 clean sheet for them on the road this season, as you'd probably expect. But they are scoring goals, and both teams score yeses landed 9 of 10 Fulham home games. So it's cashed. This bet is cashed in 7 of those 10. I think this will be another one. Simple as that, at plus money as well.
So I can't go with Fulham as a QPR fan, and Jack can't go with the Norwich fan. So
there we go.
Don't let your
sound reasoning.
Yeah, don't let your heart rule your head ever. That's Fulham Ipswich. Liverpool versus Manchester United is the big game on Sunday, 11:30 Eastern. Jack is on same game parlay duty this week. We'll get to Jack's SGP in just a second. Just briefly on this one from the boys. I mean, Nigel, and before I get your lean here, unless it's part of your lean, I mean, Liverpool minus 435. I think that's the shortest price they've ever been against United. And United at 11-1, they're plus 1100. I think that's the biggest price they've ever been to in a football match. What do we think? I think it's the biggest price they've ever been to in a football match.
Well, definitely in the Premier League, without a doubt.
If you go back pre-Premier League, no one was, in the same division. No one was 11-1. You just didn't get it. There wasn't the difference between the top and the bottom that we've got now. If you go back to the 50s, 60s. Well,
but you got to remember in the 1970s when they were bottom and they got relegated.
They still want to be. Yeah, they still want to be this sort of price.
Well,
I don't think so.
Probably the bookmakers bet to tighten bigger margins then, so you never get.
Well, they did, I suppose. But I mean, it's incredible. And the thing is, right? The thing is, if I said to you, this is the Asian line. It's +2, -2. Do you want to back United +2 at -40, -141, or Liverpool -2 at +112? There's only one answer there, isn't there? No one's backing United at +2.
I would bet. Well, let me tell you something now, right? This is where I'm coming at it differently, right? Because if I
You're not backing United +2.
If I got given a free bet on this match, right? Someone said to me, it doesn't matter if it's $10 or $1,000. Someone said to me, got $1,000 free bet. I'd have it all the time on Man United. At 11-1
on a price.
I'd have 1,000 to win 11,000.
But that's because it's a free bet, I guess. And
it's not. Because I think that minus 430 Liverpool is lunacy. And I know that Man United.
It is incredible.
I know that Man United are playing awful and they're in a relegation battle, and I know that. But this fixture is a different fixture from any other fixture that you were going to talk about.
I don't think that Amorim knows this. I don't think Amorim knows about the league.
Of course, he must know that. I don't think he does. He must know.
Anyone who plays Casemiro and Eriksen in the midfield against Newcastle,
he ain't seen United, has he?
He ain't seen United.
Well, he must have an idea of the experience here. But the other thing is I just think that I think the Man United are obviously in complete and utter turmoil. We know that. We know they're all over the place. We know that they're on the current form. They're a relegation side. It's in the relegation battle. We understand that, right? But their recent real bad performances most of them have been at home. I know their away record is pretty poor, but most of them have been at home. They've been dreadful at home. I think I know Liverpool are running away with the title at the moment and they're on this unbelievable run, but I think this Trent Alexander situation isn't ideal. It's clear that I think that Trent wants to leave the club. He's best mates with Jude Bellingham. He wants to go. He fancies the opportunity. Real Madrid are knocking on the door. And I think that makes it a little bit uncertain. If he goes, Van Dijk, Salah. So I think this is a distraction that the club does not want at this particular time. So I think that plays a little bit into the price, not massively. We're talking about what's on the pitch. And what's on the pitch now, what we've seen, as I said before, if you're Marsh and you come down with your zonks, you're having a bet, you'll be having 50,000 zonks on Liverpool.
How many zonks to the dollar?
50,000. You have 50,000 zonks. You have 50,000 zonks on Liverpool, aren't you? But when you break this all down, a 2 handicap in a match of this magnitude, where you would expect the performance, you would expect Man United to put something in, and again Liverpool in such a high position in the Premier League. I know that Liverpool they don't care if they win this 6-0 or 1-0. Really, I don't think. But let me tell you one other thing. The last time I was in Dubai, I was on a hammock, and this
you stole my line.
And I got it slightly wrong on that occasion as well. So let me just say here, I'm not having a bet, but I would bet the two Asian handicap Man United with a push. I would.
Is that your lean?
I just told you
before we started going into this.
My lean would be Man United. I think that the players will realise this is a big game. I think they'll put in a shift. I think Liverpool. I think that whole price has been looked at in terms of the carnage that's going on Manchester United. But I do think this Trent Alexander-Arnold situation is a hindrance to Liverpool, not only for this game, for the title. They need to sort that out as quickly as they possibly can. Tell Real Madrid where to go, put the bloke on a new contract and move on, or come back at the end of the season, because this is not ideal ahead of this match.
Jack, you're on same game parlay duty. Give us your SGP. Give us your thoughts on the game as you go.
Yeah, if there's not a hammock video before this one kicks off, I will be very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Get
indeed.
that hammock out.
I don't know. And I can't remember if the Martian cashed his zonks last time or did his zonkers, but he on last week's games.
He went home and he's got to come back and pick him up.
He did his zonkers.
He's got to put the old zinner in. The zinner's what you put. There's that petrol. It's the equivalent of petrol.
Oh.
He's got to put the zinners in to come back and get the zonks.
It all makes sense now. How's that loft hound?
Dan's lost. Dan's thinking, what on earth are we talking about here?
Come on, same game parlay.
We have talked more rubbish than this in the past, by the way. But anyway, yeah, very quickly through the same game parlay. No, thank Bet Rivers. Thank you so much for the fact you actually launched the player markets before we went live with this. If not, we were going very off road with the bet that I had lined up. But same game parlay. Yeah, plus 420 it is. First up is Luis Diaz to score. I think we saw against Newcastle the joy that the Newcastle had down that left-hand side. Now, Diaz could be playing centrally, could be slightly off. He could rotate with Gakpo. He's all in that area anyway. And of course, they've got Salah on the other side. One, attracting all the attention, and also is good at assisting goals as he's at scoring them. So I think that at a very nice plus money price for Diaz to score compared to Salah's price to score gets him in ahead here. I have gone Liverpool -1 on our favourite three-way, whatever it's called, the European handicap. So, but they need to win by 2 or more for this to cash. Look, again, Newcastle should have been 4 down before they. So Newcastle should have been 4 up against United before they kicked in. 4 wins on the spin for Liverpool. Last 3 cash in this particular bet by winning by 2 or more. 3 of the last 4 at home as well, and in the reverse fixture, which they won 3-0. And United's last 4, they've lost 3 games to 0, not scored in those 3 games. 3-0 and 2-0 twice. Bournemouth, Wolves and Newcastle, though. So again, the opponents there, especially Bournemouth and Wolves, not the elite, how Liverpool are playing at the moment. And finally, I have gone for goals in it, over 3.5 goals, because I think Liverpool could have a field day here. Obviously, ruling out the fact that Man United might get involved in it as well. But I just think there has got potential to be high scoring. Liverpool last 5 have cashed this with 28 goals in those games, averaging 5.6 per game. Scored 19, conceded 9. So they are letting the odd goal in, but scoring so many with that attack they've got. Amarim's 11 games in charge of Man United have produced 38 goals. That's an average of 3.45. So goals seem on the menu. A big Liverpool win seems on the menu, and I've gone with Luis Diaz to get at least one of them. Odds plus 420.
Plus 420 for Jack's same game parlay in the big game, Liverpool versus Manchester United. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. That I still think that Liverpool -2 at plus 112. I think I'd back that rather than the.
You can have your Ireland money on
-2.
Double your quits of your Ireland money. Come on.
Go on then.
What, 52 quid. You can have that on Liverpool.
52 quid. My 65 quid. I'm glad you know.
No, exchange rate. I mean, I've exchange rate.
I'll have my zonks on it. I'll have my zonks on it.
Yeah, zonks.
I'll take Liverpool -2 at plus 1.
You got that. And you're a Man United fan.
Well, you can have the -141 United. Look, it would please me no end for United at 11-1 to cash. Don't get me wrong about that. It would really please me, but I just think United in complete disarray. And you looked at what he did against Newcastle, and you think, what on earth, you know? And it's just one of those situations where if Ten Hag was still in charge, and they got 0-0 there last season, you just think he could set up a team maybe to frustrate. But you know,
Dan, hurry up, mate! I've got a water skiing lesson.
We've spent a long time on this, so we're going to rattle through the Monday night game. Which is Wolves versus Forest. And we should rattle through it because we've got a hot dog out of 1 unit play on it here as well. So, Wolves versus Nottingham Forest, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Wolves are plus 215, Nottingham Forest plus 135, draw plus 225. Forest have won the last 5. including the last 3 away. They're the shortest price they've been away from home this season. Wolves unbeaten in 3, though. No Cunha. I think Cunha is suspended. We've said it for the last 3 weeks. He's finally got done, hasn't he? Jack, you've got your 1 unit play. Nigel, you've got your hot dog. Jack, you can go first up here with your 1 unit play.
Yeah, I'm taking a plunge on Forest here at +138. And a large part of that is what you've said. Cunha missing, I think, is huge for them. It is a 1-game suspension after that Ipswich fracas. He also got took off at half-time with an injury, didn't he, last time out? So I don't know how serious that is or not, but we'll have to see, because that'd be huge for Wolves if that is going to keep him out for a few weeks. Look, Forest, what can you say about them? 5 wins on the spin. And when you look who they've beaten in that run as well, away at Everton, we talked about how hard it is to go there and get a positive result. Spurs, yeah, we know. Brentford, that's the first team to beat Brentford at Brentford's home ground. Villa, and yeah, Man United is probably the easiest one of the lot, but they're 3rd in the table. They're 3rd in the away league table as well, road table, so they can perform. We've said before, last season, whatever, their home form kept them going. This time it's not the case. They've been very, very good away from home. And I just feel that Nuno has just got them firing. And I've mentioned it again a couple of weeks ago, that Nuno is in great form himself. He just seems to be making all the right decisions, bringing the right players in, tweaking formations both prior to the match and during the game. And he's proven to be, at this moment in time, one of the most informed head coaches in the league, which is vital in these kind of games. Even last time out, one of his key central defenders gets injured in the warm-up prior to the match, tweak a formation, and the players seem to completely bought into everything that he's doing at this moment in time, and he can't seem to do no wrong. So bringing players in, and they're performing. We saw it with Morata at the weekend. He took Chris Wood and Morgan Gibbs-White off with 15 minutes to go, only 2-0 up, had the confidence to do that, saw the game out, so they're going to have a little bit of extra energy in this one, 2 of their key players. So really, really superb. And look, fair play, Wolves have had that new manager turnaround, but they are still bottom 3 for home form across the campaign. They are out of the relegation zone now, but this is tough. And I said that Cunha miss for me, or absence, is the deciding factor. So I've gone with Forest to win at +138. I don't know anyone who'd disagree with that.
Nigel, hot dog.
I've gone for the draw. I've gone for the draw here. The reason I've gone for the draw is obviously I've been quite impressed with the manager at Wolves. I think he's a manager that's come in and it suits the club straight away. There's a Portuguese connection with the club, and there's a Portuguese manager. There's a Portuguese manager going back to the club who's a legend. The Wolves fans love Nuno still. So I think going back to clubs as a former manager, especially the club in crisis, is quite a difficult thing to do. I also think Nottingham Forest, those wins that Jack has touched on there, they never found themselves in this lofty position. They're in or around it, but now going into the new year, they're 3rd in the Premier League table, and the dream of making Champions League football suddenly each week becomes more of a reality. So that comes with an extra kind of pressure as well. So I think this is a tough match. Wolves are in form. Forest, as I say, have got some kind of pressure on it. If you look, since these 2 sides have both been back in the Premier League, they've met 6 times. And in 5 of those matches, it's been a draw. And in 4 of those occasions, it's been 1-1. It was 1-1 early in the season at Forest, when Wolves were admittedly playing a lot worse than what they were now. And I just think that at +225, I mean, again, these hot dogs are really bets that I would have. We've got to bet something bigger than 2-1. And it's a bet that I won't be having as much on as some of the leans that I've given you here. You know, I'll be having more of a bet on Chelsea to win on the money line than this hot dog. But we have to give a bet at 2-1 or bigger. And of all the bets at 2-1 or bigger on the card this week, I think the statistics here, the matchup, the former manager going there, and the position both clubs find themselves in different sides of the table, I think a draw would be a good result for both of them. So going to go for a draw here at +225.
That's Nigel's hot dog, big price play of the weekend. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We will keep everyone updated via our X feeds. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We're going to be back a week on Monday, FA Cup 3rd round next week. Then we've got a midweek slate. So we'll be back then for the show. We've got more picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays for you. Don't forget, live show, of course, 11 a.m. every midweek day. Follow us at Because We Win and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are inching towards 7,000 subscribers. From all of us for now, though, it is goodbye.